Welcome back to Manhwa Heartbeats. Today, we'll be recapping a manhwa called Bastian. Don't forget to subscribe, it helps us a lot. Enjoy. At the Navy Department dinner, men in uniform raise their flutes of champagne to make toasts. A waiter is busy entertaining two women, while another waiter leads a couple to their table. Next, we move on to the social club's party. Our male protagonist is a lean blonde guy wearing a white uniform. He thinks to himself that this party is the last place he wants to be. It's actually a gambling house located in the entertainment district. Just then, a red-headed guy taps him on the shoulder and asks what he's doing. He tells him that he should hurry and get inside. The redhead's name is Lucas von Ewald, and he is the only son of Count Ewald, who is the High Chancellor of the House of Lords in the Birched Empire. The blonde guy says, "This is a bit unexpected." Suddenly, a third man joins them. He stands with his hands behind his head, and says he'll understand soon enough. He winks at them and adds that this place has a different kind of fun. This man's name is Eric Faber, and he is the eldest son of the Faber family, which is known for its success in the steel industry. Eric asks the blonde and Lucas why they don't like casinos. The blonde guy just stares at them blankly, sighs, and starts walking toward the stairs. He says they should just get in. Eric grins and says he knew it. "It'll be disappointing if you miss out on this." The three guys walk into the casino, taking in the sight of people gambling. As they enter, a man with long brown hair announces that the three have finally arrived. He dashes over to them, a big smile on his face. He says he has been keeping an eye out for them for a while now and was starting to get worried. As he looks closer at the brunette guy, he realizes that the blonde man is not the person he was hoping to find. He turns to Lucas and says, "This person isn't the one I'm looking for." Lucas smiles back and tells him that he wants to introduce them properly. In his mind, Lucas wonders if the brown-haired guy will even know who the blonde man is, since this is his first time visiting the casino. To keep the conversation going, Lucas asks the brown-haired man if he has heard about a certain person who has been causing a lot of buzz in the newspapers recently. He mentions that this person made headlines during the naval warfare in the Troscan Islands. He explains that this hero stormed the enemy camp and captured the admiral of the Lovita army. At that moment, the blonde man is revealed to be the fugitive. His name is Captain Bastian Clauvitz, and he is known as the hero of the Empire. Eric, who is excited, points at Bastian and says, "This person here is the one who did it." The brown-haired man's eyes widen, and his face lights up with excitement. He clasps his hands together in glee and says, "Wow. I can't believe I'm meeting the hero who protected the Empire's sea right here in this casino. It's such an honor to meet you, Captain." He then gestures towards a set of stairs in the corner and says, "Please, come this way. I'll take you to the suite on the second floor. It's really nice up there." Bastian, still feeling a bit surprised, turns to Eric and asks, "Are you going to introduce me like this to every person you meet?" Eric grins widely and replies, "Well, what can I do? I just want to brag about my friend. You did something amazing, and I think everyone should know about it." As they start walking, Bastian can't help but smile at the excitement of the brown-haired man. He feels a sense of pride knowing that his actions in the war are being recognized, and he appreciates his friends for supporting him. They climb the stairs together, ready to enjoy whatever adventure awaits them in the suite. As they walk, they hear a loud commotion nearby. A man is on his knees, begging for another chance and saying he still has stakes to bet. Another man looks down at him and mocks him, calling him the beggar duke. He asks to see these stakes. The beggar trembles and stumbles over his words, but then a light bulb goes off in his head. He suddenly claims he will bet his daughter, and says the man in front of him knows how beautiful she is. He insists that compared to her, the stakes are nothing, and demands one more round. Eric walks over and taps the beggar on the shoulder. He asks if the man can take responsibility for what he just said. The beggar turns to Eric in panic, as he explains that he is saying his daughter will pay the price for his debts. The beggar sweats and quickly assures Eric that he is certain, confidently saying that his daughter is the most beautiful woman in the city, or even the whole empire. Eric smiles, thinking the situation just got more interesting, and turns to Lucas and Bastian to ask for their thoughts. Lucas thinks it sounds fun and calls out to Bastian, reminding him that he came all this way and shouldn't back out now. Bastian nods and agrees, saying he's in. All four men sit at a table and start dealing the cards. Bastian looks at his hand and thinks it's not bad. He asks his friends if they can start the game. Meanwhile, in another part of the casino, patrons are talking among themselves. One person asks what kind of bet the other men are making that everyone seems so interested. Another person responds that the first man missed it because he arrived late. He explains that the beggar duke has bet his own daughter, and he thinks the game is almost over. Eric sighs and says that this round isn't working out well for him. Lucas agrees, saying it's not going well for him either. They turn to Bastian and ask how he's doing. Bastian replies that his starting hand isn't too terrible, and he lays down his cards. The other men look at his hand in shock. Eric jumps in, asking if this isn't a perfect win. He says it seems like Captain Clauvitz has won the most beautiful woman in the empire. He jokes that it's against the rules to bring the goddess of victory to the card table. The beggar duke stares at his hand, unable to believe he lost. He insists there's no way this can be true. The patrons mock the beggar duke, telling him it's time to follow through on his offer. They ask if he's thinking about meeting his son-in-law. The beggar duke protests, claiming there must be something wrong. Bastian thinks to himself that it's pathetic, and he can't stand watching any longer. He stands up and says that's enough. Lucas asks what Bastian means by that, insisting they have to take his bet seriously. Eric agrees with Lucas, saying that Lucas is right, and that it's Bastian's right to enjoy this moment. Suddenly, the beggar duke screams for them to wait, begging for just one more chance. He insists that he needs another try, and that he's sure he will win. However, his words get cut short when Bastian glares at him. In a quick motion, Bastian backhands the beggar duke and says how disgusting it is. Lucas calls for security, thinking that the beggar duke looks really angry. He shouts for security to come and asks them to bring the bet that was promised. The beggar duke grits his teeth as he realizes he made a big mistake. He demands to know if they even know who he is and warns them that they will pay dearly for treating him this way. He says if the emperor hears that they all touched his daughter so recklessly, they will never be safe again. He goes on to explain that his daughter has the blood of the Imperial family, which is very valuable, and even people like them shouldn't dare to look at her. The beggar duke's face turns red with anger as he threatens them, trying to make them see how serious this is. 1. A girl with raven hair and blue eyes thinks to herself that it is already really late as she sits and knits. She wonders when her father will come home. To her side, a girl is sleeping, so she gently calls her name, Tira. Tira wakes up with a start and asks Odette if their father has come back yet. Odette replies that no, he hasn't. Tira looks worried and asks what will happen if something goes wrong again. Odette reassures her, saying that it's okay and nothing will happen. She tells Tira that it is late and she should go to bed. Tira agrees. The two girls walk out of the room, holding hands. Tira says she is scared of the strange noise outside. Odette comforts her, saying that it's just the wind. Tira insists that it sounds like someone is crying. Odette doesn't respond to this and leads her to her room, where she tucks Tira into bed. Tira then says she is not a baby. Odette smiles at her and heads for the door. As she walks away, Odette thinks about how she needs to make a list of things they need to buy before going to sleep. She hopes she can sell the lace she made tomorrow to help with money. Last year, they lived in a nice house with hot water, but now they have to rent a cheaper place, because their father has money problems. Even though Tira thinks the sounds outside are scary, to Odette, they are soothing. She remembers almost being kicked out onto the streets. They are lucky to have a small apartment on the highest floor of an old building, all thanks to help from the Imperial family. Odette reflects that her late mother was the first princess loved the most by the first emperor, which gives her a bit of comfort in this difficult time. Odette has her mother's eyes, but her mother's hair is blonde. Her mother is Princess Helene, a woman who was born and raised with the love of the people. She quickly gets a fiancé, who is the crown prince of Ravita. They are a couple that everyone adores. But one night, just 3 months before the wedding, the princess suddenly disappears. She runs away into the night with Duke Dysen, a man from a weak clan who is her lover. They have been having a secret relationship. When the news spreads, the entire empire is shocked. The emperor is disappointed and declares that he wants nothing to do with his daughter anymore. He orders that all of the princess's titles and property be taken away from her, and she is sent away. Just like that, Odette's parents become poor wanderers in an instant. In the past, we see Odette as a little girl. The princess places her hand gently on Odette's head and says, "My child, Odette, you must remember to never lose your dignity, no matter what happens." Her mother refuses to give up hope. Odette replies with a soft, "Yes, mother." She believes that one day, she will regain her status in the Imperial family. Because of this, her mother ensures that Odette receives a strict education to prepare for that day. Odette learns everything steadily, just as her mother wants. She studies dancing, etiquette, music, painting, and different languages. But one day, things take a sad turn. Her mother is lying on the floor, coughing up blood. She calls for Odette, and tears begin to fall from Odette's eyes as she rushes to her mother's side. Even as she struggles, her mother gently caresses Odette's face and wipes away her tears. She tells Odette that she is her sweet daughter, and that they must find a way to go back to how things were at the beginning. Odette's mother holds on tightly to the hope that one day they can return to how things were. Unfortunately, she passes away while still trapped in that sad reality. Now, Odette looks at her mother's portrait and wonders if her life will end up like her mother's. Suddenly, someone knocks on her door and asks if anyone is there. Odette opens the door and asks what's the matter, noting how late it is. The man asks her if she is Sir Dysen's daughter, Lady Odette. Odette nods and replies that she is, and she asks if something has happened to her father. The man tells her that she needs to follow him. He explains that her father has gotten himself into a lot of debt at the casino, and she will get more details when they arrive. Odette thinks to herself that he has done it again. She simply says, "Is that so?" and tells the man to wait while she gets ready to go out. The security guard notices that Odette seems to be used to this kind of situation, and it makes him sad to see her life being ruined because of a father like that. Remembering her mother's words about keeping her dignity no matter the circumstances, Odette refuses to let the past define her. Even if some people say it's useless, she doesn't want to erase the mistakes of her father. After getting dressed, she tells the man that she is ready and they can go. She thinks of this as the last piece of her mother's legacy. At the casino, the beggar Duke is begging and saying, "Not that child." He reminds everyone that she has imperial blood, and they could all be in serious trouble. A man with long blonde hair tells the beggar Duke to keep his voice down. He reminds him that it is the Duke who has risked his own precious daughter. There's no point in begging now since the guard has already gone to get his daughter. The Duke stammers and says there's no way that could be true. Lucas says, "Hey Bastian, what does it feel like to meet the lady who is the Emperor's granddaughter?" Bastian gives Lucas a bored look and asks if he really believes him. Lucas replies that rather than believing him or not, isn't it more interesting if it's true? Eric joins in, saying that isn't it worth believing that she's the most beautiful girl in the empire. Bastian thinks to himself that these guys are pretty entertaining. He wonders how long he will have to keep dealing with such pathetic people. Just then, the guard comes over and says that he has brought his daughter here. The other people in the casino cheer and say they've finally arrived. Odette gets dressed and heads to the casino. When she arrives, she boldly asks them how much her father owes. The crowd gasps at her confidence. They wonder why she is so dignified, and if she even understands the situation. Eric walks over to Odette and tells her that she is mistaken. They didn't call her there to pay the debt. She replies that if that's the case, she has no reason to stay, and that she will take her father with her. Eric says that it will be hard. Even if her father leaves, she has to stay. Odette TSKS and asks what that is supposed to mean. They tell her that her father put her up as a bet. Eric points to a man in the room and says that he won the bet. Now, does she understand? Realizing what her father has done, Odette yells for him. The beggar duke bows in front of his daughter, Odette, and says he is sorry. He explains that he didn't think things would turn out like this and that he could have won something big. Odette feels angry as she clenches her hand and grits her teeth. She notices that the men in formal white uniforms are Navy officers, and they look important because they work in the capital. She wonders what to do. Should she just take her father and run away? But even if she tries to escape, there are guards at the door. Odette glances toward the window and sees Bastian standing there. She realizes that there isn't any other way out. She screams at Bastian, asking him if he isn't ashamed of himself for being a military person involved in such bets. Doesn't he know that he can't make deals that involve selling people? Bastian tries not to laugh as he replies that he doesn't think that morality and legality are a good solution. Odette argues back, saying that since when do a military person's honor and dignity depend on time and place? Bastian glares at her, thinking it surprising that she tries to teach him a lesson in this situation. He finds it amusing that she is so righteous, even now. Odette continues to plead, saying he should forgive her father's mistake just this once. Instead, she will give them the money that was supposed to be the bet. Bastian asks what she wants him to do and puts his hand in his pocket. He says that he doesn't like the idea. Odette's eyes widen at his words, surprised by his response. Bastian steps forward, confidently claiming that he is the one who should be giving the orders. He closes the distance between himself and Odette, looking her directly in the eyes. He tells her that he has won her in this bet, and that she should lift her veil so he can see her face. He makes it clear that he doesn't want her money, nor does he want to trade her for money. Instead, he believes it's unfair for only one side to take all the losses. He insists that if she shows him her face, everything will be settled, and they can all move on. In his mind, he thinks that she is just like anyone else he has met. As he speaks, Lucas, one of Bastian's friends, pipes up and asks if Bastian is being a bit weak in this situation. Eric, another friend, chimes in, saying that Bastian should be tougher and more demanding. Bastian thinks to himself that his friends are really getting into this, as they often do when they are entertained. He figures that if he lets the beggar duke go without making him pay, the man will just gamble on Odette again. He doesn't want to get tangled up in any more complications or annoying situations. Meanwhile, the beggar duke, feeling desperate, smiles nervously at his daughter and urges her to just do whatever Bastian wants. He believes that if she does this, they can both leave the casino without any more problems. Odette looks at her father, tension filling her body. She feels a mix of anger and frustration at how her father has put her in this position. Bastian, sensing the weight of the moment, turns away from Odette and says that if she refuses to cooperate, they will have to play by the rules of the casino. Gritting her teeth in determination, Odette finally asks him if he can keep his promise. Bastian smirks and thinks to himself that, after honor and dignity, credibility is also very important. But he wonders if it's even possible to find such things in a casino, where everything feels chaotic and uncertain. He looks back at her and assures her, of course. Odette's heart races as the reality of the situation sinks in. She knows that she has no other choice now. She insists that he must keep his promise, and with a deep breath, she removes her veil to reveal her beauty. Bastian's eyes widen in surprise as he takes in her features, noticing how truly stunning she is. He remembers what the beggar duke said earlier, and how he had dismissed the man as a loser trying to scam people. But now, standing before him, Bastian realizes that the duke's daughter is genuinely beautiful. At least this part of the situation is true, and it makes him reconsider everything. The next day, the beggar duke sleeps soundly in his bed. Tira calls out to Odette, suggesting they use a board to block the door. Odette wonders what they will do next. Tira shrugs, saying she doesn't care what happens to their father when he's locked in the room. She thinks it would be better that way. As Tira walks out, she complains about their father, saying he drinks every day. She says she can handle it because she's used to it. But then she screams in anger, saying she can never forgive him for what he did. It's not right that he acts like nothing happened, sleeping comfortably after everything. Odette remembers yesterday's events, thinking how they managed to return home safely. Bastian tells Odette to just think of the bet money as taken, because it was his win that helped them escape the situation. He feels lucky that the officer kept his word by making Odette lift her veil and show her face. Tira suggests reporting their father's actions to the emperor, hoping he would help since Odette is his niece. Odette gets upset, saying that it's not a good idea. If their father's actions are exposed, they might lose the emperor's support. She warns Tira not to mention it again. Tira's eyes widen in surprise and she apologizes for bringing it up. Odette hugs her, thinking about how their father has ruined everything. She feels that the emperor will never help them, as she is the daughter of the man who caused so much trouble for his sister. Ardennes is a coastal city on the outskirts of the capital. It is full of mansions belonging to royalty and noble families. The land in the north has amazing views and is called Ardennes Jewel. This place used to belong to an old count clan, but they lost their power over time and couldn't keep up with the changes. Eventually, a wealthy man, known for controlling Empire Berg's railways, bought their property. His name is part of the Clauvitz clan. One day, a golden car drives into a beautiful compound, and Bastian steps out. He is greeted by a woman with short blonde hair. This woman is Maria Gross, who is Bastian's aunt. She asks him if he drove that fancy car here by himself. Bastian replies that, yes, he did, as she can see. Maria tells him that she doesn't understand why he insists on doing things that his father dislikes. Bastian shrugs and says he isn't sure either. He finds it a bit pathetic that his father expects him to have a chauffeur, because he is not rich enough. They walk into the house together. Once inside, they enter a grand room with a red carpet running down the middle. Maids dressed in black and white line the sides of the carpet, waiting to serve. Maria looks at her nephew and says that if there is anyone who cares more about his money and assets than him, it is definitely his father. Bastian scoffs and says that what he has isn't enough to be called an asset. To him, it's just an old house and a trust fund. Maria's face turns sour as she thinks about how he still doesn't express himself. There are rumors going around that he inherited money from his mother's side. She tells him that if he doesn't want to show his true feelings in a clear way, she will respect that, but he needs to understand the situation. She insists that he should understand more than anyone why his grandfather passed the responsibilities to him. They stop walking and look at each other. He smiles and says that he doesn't know what she is talking about. She raises an eyebrow and says she'll announce his brother Franz's engagement at the party today. The girl he is marrying is the daughter of Count Klein. Bastian nods and says okay. Maria mentions that she's pretty sure he knows his father is smiling from ear to ear about this. Bastian thinks for a moment. Franz is his half-brother, and his mother is a noble. His father, who is obsessed with status, had no problem deciding that Franz would be the heir to their clan. He figures that his old man must be happy now that his precious son is marrying a high-class noblewoman. Maria interrupts his thoughts and tells him that he should also get married soon and start his own family. Bastian gives his aunt a fake smile and says he will keep that in mind. She responds that it sounds like a trustworthy answer. Then she warns him that he should stay away from Princess Isabel's side, because she could be a problem for him. He asks if she means the first princess of Berg, and she says yes, adding that there is a rumor among the elites that Princess Isabel is in love with him. Bastian remembers that she used to follow the emperor when he was still in officer school, and he thinks about how burdensome that memory is. He shakes his head and insists that he doesn't have any feelings for her. She tells him that she knows he doesn't have feelings for her, but the emperor might see things differently. The emperor saw his sister, Princess Helen, ruin her life, because she was so caught up in love. The thought that his daughter might end up like Helen makes it hard for him to think rationally. Bastian gulps as he thinks about how Princess Helen has such a sad story. He remembers that the broke duke at the casino also mentioned her name, saying that his daughter has the Imperial bloodline. Maria taps him on the shoulder and calls his name, asking if he is paying attention. He thinks to himself that this must be a trick used by scammers like the Duke. He smirks and tells his aunt not to worry about anything. He decides that thinking too much about it will just be a waste of time. At the Imperial Palace of Empire Berg, photos of Bastian are laid out on a table as the emperor asks his wife how they should handle this situation. The empress tells him to calm down and reminds him that these are just a few pictures. She expresses her concern that their daughter, who is about to get married, keeps staring at another man's picture every night. Does he really think this isn't a big deal? The emperor replies that Isabel is indeed getting married, and that won't change even if she has feelings for Bastian. The empress covers her face in frustration and points out that Helen had a fiancé too. She says Helen was blinded by love and ended up ruining her planned marriage. Then she realizes her mistake and apologizes to her husband, saying she didn't mean to insult the imperial family. She just fears that something similar to what happened with Princess Helen might occur again. The emperor sighs and reassures her that he understands, insisting that it will never happen. He acknowledges that Bastian is a brilliant man, but he cannot be the princess's soulmate. She talks about Princess Helen's situation and asks if he's really going to leave Odette like that. He wonders why she brings her up. She explains that Duke Dysen seems to be causing a lot of trouble. He responds that it's no surprise since that's just how he is. She worries that he has been acting shady and asks what will happen if something bad occurs with Odette. He crosses his arms and says that he only took care of them because of Helen, and now that she's gone, what happens to them isn't his concern anymore. She admits she hates Duke Dysen too, but she can't just stand there and watch Princess Helen's beloved daughter be unhappy. He looks at her without saying anything, and she suggests that it would be a good idea to find a suitable husband for Odette. She mentions Captain Clauvitz. The emperor repeats the name and asks if she means Bastian Clauvitz. She confirms that's right, saying he might not come from a high status, but he is a great hero with impressive achievements. She believes he deserves to have a wife from the imperial family. He argues that even though his bloodline isn't the best, he is still the son of a wealthy clan in the empire. A man like him could marry any noblewoman from lower classes, so why would he choose to marry Duke Dysen's daughter? She explains that even if their status is not what it used to be, the Dysen clan is still an old duke family, and Odette also has Imperial blood. She adds that if Bastian Clauvitz marries Odette, it would be good for Isabel too. This way, Isabel might have to change her feelings for Bastian. Since he is the emperor, he has the power to make things happen, and can help shape the future. She urges him to protect Princess Isabel by arranging a marriage between Odette and Bastian Clauvitz. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe and ensure to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, bye.